Hey guys, this is Eric Abernathy. This is my first CS424 project entitled Electric Avenue. So the main idea of this project is to show the total energy production and consumption, CO2 emissions, and renewable energy production of most of the countries and regions of the world. Not only that, we're also to show them through per capita. So as you can see in this window, there are three major areas of the screen. The first area here where I'm going to discuss is the graph. So the graph was very much taken from the ideas that were presented in the milk tea coffee experiment, or graphs and programs that were used or that were looked into earlier in the class. So most of how things are drawn are based on that. The second region right here is all of the countries and the list of all of the regions and countries of the world. So if I were to click on, say, Lebanon here, it'll show me still the current energy consumption from those 30 years for the country of Lebanon, which, as you can see by this, isn't very much. One of the things that I learned about this is that a lot of these countries don't really produce and consume a lot of electricity because they probably have small populations and their areas are small. But let's look at a bigger country like, say, the United Kingdom here I just saw. The United Kingdom, again, small area, small population, so they aren't consuming a lot of energy. But if we were to look at which leads me to this third section here, which are the different types of graphs. The graphs, there are 6 different graphs. There's total energy production, total energy consumption, the consumption per capita, CO2 emissions per capita as well, and then the renewable. So I click on this and it changes the graph from being total energy consumption that it was originally to total energy production. So in the way that I did this was each of these, once I got the Excel charts and I converted them to the tabs-based visualization, or the tab-based files, each of these rows had a name on it, which was always the first piece of the row. And so the name is what ended up in here in the list box and up here on the display, because I wanted to keep the eye on the graphs as people were clicking through and seeing things on this. If they needed to be reminded what country it was, it's right here, just displayed for you. But anyway, all of these things were given a number. They're given a number, and so, say, I'll do one just that I remember off the top of my head here. The United States of America is number 6 on the list, which, if I go back all the way to the top, right here, the United States is number 6 on the list, and it brings up the United States. And so that's how I get which graph is to be or which country's graph to show. Now to talk about which graph to show, I just have each of these graphs is an integer, like an integer stored in a variable graph type. So if I were to go here, renewable production, which is number 5, going from 0 to 5, we changes it to there. Nothing else really. I intentionally made this a very no frills kind of operation because I thought a lot of the interpolation and the movement of graphs and the shading underneath it was a lot of unnecessary visual aesthetic that didn't really need to be there. So I intentionally chose to not do that. Let's see, anything else? So as you notice here, if I were to go and go to North America here and say CO2 emissions, each of these scales, or each of the y-axis scales, are different than another one. So see here, I have the proper emissions for metric tons, which all I did to do that, to make sure that these graphs were scaled properly, since x never changes, that always stays the same. But since the y scale is constantly changing, what I did is I just checked integer values based on the whether it's in this array of regions, or like I looked through and I found all the regions and I put those into an array. So I check the array, and if it's not one of the array, I check and see if it's a big country like the United States, which uses similar amounts of emissions. And if it's not one of those, then it's using a different scale. I guess that's really about it. That's all I have to say about this. Make sure you guys follow me on Facebook and check my Twitter and